showed the moment an intersection went from relatively calm to complete chaos. Florida prosecutors say it just took fractions of a second for Instagram model Macy Lathers to ruin multiple lives, including her own. And it's her actions before she got behind the wheel of the car and after the deadly crash that have her in a lot of trouble. Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law and Crime. I'm Jesse Weber. In the early morning hours of Saturday, August 10th, 2024, around sunrise, traffic in Miami was light. Some drivers were on their way to work, and that included Abraham Molina and Jesus Rubio. The men were carpooling along with Molina's partner when they entered the intersection at Northeast 8th Street and North Miami Avenue. Now, 8th has traffic traveling both ways, but North Miami is a one-way street. Now, as the silver Suzuki drove into the intersection, a black Range Rover traveling the other direction crossed paths with it right where the roads met. And at that exact moment, police say 24-year-old Macy Lathers, with her foot mashed all the way down on the accelerator, blasted through the red light on North Miami Avenue and collided with the other cars. Toxicology reports would later show she had several different drugs in her system, including Toosie. This is sometimes referred to as pink cocaine. Now, the aftermath was brutal. Molina, Rubio, they were both killed. Molina's partner and the driver of the Range Rover, they were rushed to hospitals. They were expected to recover. But you have this nearby traffic camera that caught the crash, apparently. And it also apparently caught Lathers appearing to allegedly sneak away from the scene. Now, we're going to get more into her wild arrests, where her case stands now. But first, we got to talk about this latest new video evidence, crucial new video evidence. And for that, I want to bring in criminal defense attorney and former prosecutor Melba Pearson. Melba, thank you so much for coming here on Sidebar. You know, I think sometimes we forget that we're driving around in 5,000-pound machines that, on the one hand, they're equipped to protect us as best as they can, but on the other, they can cause catastrophic damage to other vehicles and human lives in a second. This is one of those cases that I think, unfortunately, reminds you of that.
Yes, absolutely. And hello, Jesse. Always great to be on with you. And this is one of those tragic situations where a lot of times we take driving for granted. We just kind of hop behind the wheel, we go, and we just don't always think as carefully about safety and all these other aspects. And unfortunately, I think, folks can point to times where maybe they had one or two drinks, probably shouldn't have driven, that sort of thing. But what we're looking at here is way beyond that. We're looking at a situation where somebody was so inebriated. I mean, by the time, and I know we're going to get into that later on, but by the time she was arrested, she's vomiting. I mean, she's, topless. She's completely out of her mind. And that's somebody who should have called an Uber. Plain and simple. Like, there's no excuse for that.
And even though we have the ability of ride-sharing apps or other forms of transportation, you probably see day in and day out more instances of alleged drunk driving or driving while intoxicated or driving while on a substance. It happens, every day? And it's hard to fathom that this can still happen.
Absolutely. And again, we all can get the concept of the night didn't go as you planned, right? You thought you were just going to have one drink and whatever the case may be, but it's just another reminder about responsible and knowing that, okay, if I enjoyed the evening a little bit too much, leave my car wherever it is, I can go back and get it in the morning, because it's not worth the pain and suffering of, number one, killing people, right? Like, literally 2 people who should still be here today are gone as a result of one irresponsible action. And secondly, even if you don't harm someone, you think about the fact that if you're pulled over for a DUI, the amount of money it takes to defend that case, the amount of fines that you're facing, a DUI can cost you anywhere upwards of $50,000. So is it worth it for one night to just be that irresponsible, or is it just a better course of action to leave the car where it's at, take a ride share, call a friend, whatever the case may be, to save yourself and to save the people around you?
So these are allegations against her, but my goodness, look at the evidence. So that's what we want to talk about. We want to talk about what police were able to see when they checked out these traffic cameras near the corner of 8th and Miami. So It's around 6:49 a.m. Just think about how early this is. 6:49 a.m. You have a dark SUV pulls up to a red light on Miami Avenue and stops. The silver Suzuki and the black Range Rover, they both enter the intersection at the same time, again from opposite directions. And then in some sort of twisted, I don't even want to say perfect, but it's the timing of this that matters. Their Mercedes that's driven by Macy Lathers apparently smashes into both cars. Now, we're not going to show you the moment of the impact, but the momentum sends all three cars spinning. Melba, according to an arrest warrant for Lathers, she didn't even try to slow down. I want to take a listen to this. So it reads, on Friday, August 16, 2024, a search warrant was executed on vehicle number 1. The vehicle's electronic data recorder was collected. A download of the EDR revealed that vehicle number 1 was traveling at approximately 57 miles per hour, 5 seconds before the crash, with the accelerator at 100%. Vehicle 1's speed increased to 78 miles per hour at the moment of impact with vehicle number 2 at the intersection of North Miami Avenue and North 8th Street. This area has a posted speed limit of 30 miles per hour. Now, Melba, how accurate is that data?
Well, actually, as you were reading that, Jesse, I was thinking, because again, I live in Miami, and I was like, yeah, that you have no business even going anywhere over 50, because that's, again, it's a very congested area. It's kind of a downtown area where people are transitioning to go to work, and a lot of residents in the high rises in the area. So, I mean, even 40, 45 is pushing it. And for her to be going at that rate of speed, it's just insanity, especially since this is someplace where she's familiar, the speed limit, it's perilous. And again, I think it just speaks to the fact that she was just so inebriated that she had no concept of anything.
But that data is airtight. I mean, can a defense attorney say, well, how do we know exactly how fast the car was going? How do we know exactly her foot was on the pedal that much? I mean, is that something a defense attorney can argue against, or is this, no, once you look at that car data, it's pretty airtight?
Well, one thing I always like to say is that everyone is entitled to a defense. Doesn't mean it's going to be a good defense. Doesn't mean it's going to be a winning defense, but you're entitled to a defense. So a defense attorney, of course, can get up and try to attack the veracity of that data. Will it be successful? Highly unlikely, because again, you still can't get away from the footage of her slamming through those two cars and then in the aftermath, not even staying to render aid or attempting to leave without rendering aid. And that is not going to play very well in front of a jury. So this is a situation where she needs to take a plea and, take her prison time and go about her business.
Just a really, really sad, unfortunate case that shouldn't have happened. And it's one that we have been following from the very beginning. And the reason that we're able to do that is because we get incredible support from our amazing sponsor, Morgan & Morgan. So this is America's largest injury law firm. And honestly, they have an amazing track record. In the past few months, Morgan & Morgan secured a $9.3 million verdict for a car crash victim in Florida, a $5.6 million verdict for another car accident victim in Atlanta, and not to mention $1.8 million in Kentucky after insurance offered them just $5,000 in that case. And even if you think your case isn't worth millions of dollars, why not just start a claim and fight for what you deserve? Morgan & Morgan makes it so simple. You can start a claim from your phone in just 8 clicks, and everything from signing contracts to uploading documents to talking to your team, it can all be done through the phone. So if you're injured, you can easily start a claim at forthepeople.com/LC sidebar. I don't think there's an alternative explanation for, I had to speed up at that exact moment because of XYZ.
Absolutely not. Yeah, there's no other explanation for what she did. And then, of course, her admissions kind of make everything very clear as well. So, yeah, I don't see that there's a lot here for defense counsel to work with.
So at least one of the cars that the Mercedes hit had started to smoke, and bystanders, other drivers, they started to pull over to see how they could help. Now, look very closely at the top of the screen. It's only been, about 30 seconds since the impact, and the Mercedes is spun around. It's a little bit back from the two cars that it hit, and you can see someone get out of the Mercedes, walk around the front of the car, avoiding contact with an apparent Good Samaritan who stopped to help. Police say that is Macy Lathers, wearing a red jacket with a hood. She has the hood pulled up around her face. She crosses 8th Street in the crosswalk and then paces back and forth at the corner for several seconds. Then she appears to continue walking down Miami Avenue in the direction of the camera, with her face apparently still obscured by the red hood. Another camera facing away from the accident shows Lathers walking into frame and at one point seemingly appearing to kneel or squat down on the ground. At some point, police allege that Lathers tried to blend in with a group of runners who went by, headed back in the direction of the crash. So Melba, Lathers would later be charged with leaving the scene of a deadly accident on top of manslaughter charges. Does it seem to you that she is making a conscious effort to avoid getting caught, or is she just confused and disoriented, not know what's going on? What do you think?
Well, Jesse, if you're confused and disoriented after a crash, you usually stay on the scene. You're either still sitting behind the wheel like, oh my gosh, what just happened? Maybe you get out of the car, but you're going to, maybe drop down right next to the car. If you're in a situation where you're kind of like, you have some wits about you, you're going to go try and check on the other people, right? And try to figure out, hey, is everyone okay? Can I call 911? Oh my gosh, I can't believe this happened. Versus putting your hood up, because I doubt she was driving with her hood up. So you're putting your hood up, another tactic to try and obscure yourself. You're walking away from the scene. You're deliberately walking around the car and trying to kind of blend in. And then you're walking away. And maybe if she had kept walking, it would have worked better for her. But instead, she turned around and came back. That, again, may have been just a bad choice, or the drugs, or whatever the case may be. But then she comes back to the scene. It is just clear to me that she is trying to evade responsibility, and at the very least, just have the human decency to check on the people that got hit. It's just unfathomable to me.
And that's interesting, right? So on one hand, and we're going to play this in a minute, but the idea of what was in her system, was she in her right mind, was she not, but yet having the sense to avoid detection and walk with the crowd and put the hood up, maybe thinking about cameras, maybe thinking about other people. That's interesting.
Yeah, it's very like, oh, you don't see me, no one sees me. No, we all see.
But you have your wits about you to know that even if you are on some sort of substance, you have your wits about you that, something might not, you might want to try to avoid detection. I mean, if the allegations are true.